as a next the amount of Indian curries I get sent to the house is unbelievable. We had a situation where you had the chance to get rid of the last bloody Tory in Scotland, David Mundell. How would we have all felt? How would we have all felt if we got rid of every single Tory in Scotland? And yet the Greens took a politically, in my opinion, sectarian position by saying, oh no, we're standing. Why? So they get 800 votes. They've not achieved anything. All they've achieved is they've allowed bloody David Mundell in. That's the type of thing we have to learn lessons from. We have to learn lessons from that. It's why, for instance, when we approach this general election in Scotland next year, I hope the SNP and SNP supporters will be saying to themselves, in areas, and not all of the areas of Scotland will be the same, but see places like Glasgow, places like Lanarkshire, let's be clear about this. The SNP are going to win all the first past the post seats. They're going to win them all. But if you look at the way this electoral system was set up, it was set up to undermine the party that wins the first past post seats so they don't win any list seats. That's just what happened. That's what the Hunt system was all about. If you look at Glasgow, SNP could get 200,000 votes in Glasgow. In my opinion, they're going to win all of the first past post seats. 9 seats they're going to win. Clear as day they're going to win it. And by the way, I'm calling for people to vote SNP with their first vote. Vote SNP with your first vote. Get SNP elected in every constituency in Scotland. That's what I'm saying. But what happens to the 200,000 people if they then vote SNP with their second vote in Glasgow? What happens to that vote? Is that 200,000 votes for the SNP in the list? No, it's no. That 200,000 is divided by the number of seats they win plus 1. 9 plus 1 is 10. 200,000 votes because of the electoral system becomes 20,000 votes. So what is the use of asking SNP supporters in a city like Glasgow to vote SNP 1 and 2 when then what they could do is vote 1 SNP, vote 2 for another pro-independence party, and instead of wasting the vote, we can get rid of the Unionists. We can stop the Labour and the Tories, the Liberals getting seats in Glasgow. That's the power we've got here. That's the power we've got across Scotland. We can actually maximise the pro-yes vote by using a second vote for pro-independence parties. And just to be clear about this, sure, I'm the convener of Solidarity. I would love for people to give Solidarity their second vote. I know that's not going to happen everywhere. But what I am saying is, see if you're not giving your second vote to Solidarity, please give it to another pro-independence, anti-austerity party. This isn't something that I'm arguing for pure, narrow political gain. I'm arguing this because of the cause of independence. Just as it was right to put cause before party in May and stand down an election, so it is right next May to put cause before party and to call for SNP supporters to give number 1 vote SNP, number 2 vote to a pro-independence party. And let's elect a Scottish Parliament that is full of pro-independence MSPs. Let's elect a Scottish Parliament where the opposition to the SNP is no longer from the right. The opposition is from the left. The opposition is coming from those who are saying to the SNP, some of whom seem a wee bit hesitant just now on a second referendum, hey, you've got the mandate now. You've got the mandate. Let's use it. Nicola fought a fantastic campaign, didn't she? General election. Absolutely fantastic campaign. But do you know what? She said, in relation to the question of a second referendum, events would decide it. Events would decide the timing of a second referendum. Brothers and sisters, I'm 51 years of age. Who would have thought in Scotland you would have seen the Labour Party reduced at a general election to 1 member. 1 member.
One too many.
One too many, absolutely. One member of Parliament. Some of you are a wee bit older than me, a wee bit maturer than me. Some of you are younger. But is that an event? Is that an event politically that Labour's been reduced to one member of Parliament in its former stronghold? Surely that's an event that is worthy of a second referendum in and of itself. So from my point of view, it is right on Saturday to gather in Freedom Square, to stand there together with thousands of others, to fill that square with hope of a brighter future, to fill that square with love and cooperation about the type of Scotland that we want to shape in our heart of hearts. Let's remember here, brothers and sisters, I don't want independence so that you can go and wave a different flag above the municipal buildings in Scotland. I want independence so that we can pay our pensioners a better pension and we can pay workers a living wage. I want independence as a means to an end. And that end has to be a better and a fairer Scotland. That's what we want independence for. And we have that opportunity to go there and fill the square with the vision of this new and better Scotland that we want. Some people say, I was reading the reports last week on the oil industry, and they were talking about the contraction of investment in the North Sea, and they were talking about the contraction in the number of jobs, and they were saying that there was going to be less investment opportunities, that it was going to cost more money to extract oil from the North Sea. Funny enough, they only spent a wee bit of time on the West Coast fields when they said that there was massive development, massive potential in the West Coast of Scotland, most of which hasn't been drilled for up to now because it's in the shipping lane of bloody Trident. Of course, when we get rid of Trident, then we don't have it in the shipping lane any longer, and we can drill for it and we can extract it. But you know what? Do you know what these reports lack? They lack any vision of the type of Scotland we could have. Because all of these reports are predicated upon falling profitability for the North Sea oil companies, the Texan oil barons who have ripped us blind for years. Brothers and sisters, where is the vision that says we can invest more in North Sea oil, more in the West Coast, because in an independent Scotland we're going to own the oil instead of it being owned by the Texan oil barons. We're going to use the energy. We're going to use the energy to invest in clean energy production. We're going to become the world leader. Iceland's beat us to it, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of this. Iceland now is self-sufficient on wind, wave and solar power. They can generate all of their country's needs based on clean energy production. Brothers and sisters, if Iceland can do it, why can Scotland not do it? It needs massive investment. It's not going to be done by the private sector because they need profit. They'll only invest if they can get massive profits. Let's take the profit equation out of it and let's invest on the basis of need, on the basis of public provision. I don't know if you remember the wee Rory Bremner sketch that comes to mind every time I think about this. Remember Rory Bremner used to do his wee show, and he had this wee sketch, two pals in the pub, and one pal's looking off a glum. His mate says to him, "What's up with you?" He says, "It's terrible. I got my motor knocked last night." "Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible." He says, "That's worse than that." He says, "How's it worse than that?" "The guy that knocked it, he chapped my door this morning. He's offered to sell it back to me." Rory Bremner says, "It's theft." He says, No, that's privatisation." Think about it. Think about it, brothers and sisters. Your grandparents and their parents before them paid their taxes time and time again to invest in the infrastructure of what was known as the UK, the housing stock, the gas, the electricity, the railways, the coal mines, the steel mines. It was all developed on the basis of working class people paying their taxes, working hard and paying their taxes. What did Thatcher do? She come along and she didn't just steal it for us. She had the cheek to steal it for us and then say, hey, do you want to buy it back? Do you want to buy shares in British Gas? Why would you want to buy shares in something you already owned? I've got to say to Mr. Ferguson, who this week I think has created a blooper for himself by coming out and saying that he doesn't support Jeremy Corbyn when he says that the energy companies should be brought back into public ownership. Fergus, you're wrong, son. You're wrong. The overwhelming majority of the people of Scotland believe fundamentally that it's time to stop the energy rip-off for these big six companies who are charging through the nose for a resource that we need to use. How can you survive without gas or electricity? Brothers and sisters, as a socialist, I don't want every fish and chip shop. I don't want all of these small taxi companies. But do you know what I do want? I want the essentials of life being run by the public sector for the public. I want gas and electricity and the railways. I want it run. I want it run not for maximum profit for fat cats. I want it run for maximum quality for the people of our country. That's the type of vision that I think we should be developing when we are working out how we think an independent Scotland will look. And I think on Saturday, when we gather in Freedom Square, we will see with our own eyes the majority of young people, families, people who are there saying to themselves, hey, we lost the battle, but we've not lost the war. We are still on the road to independence. We've had to take a wee detour, but we are still on the road to independence. Coming up in the car tonight, I was discussing with Gavin and John. When you think about it, brothers and sisters, our independence referendum didn't just transform politics in Scotland. It's transformed politics in England as well. Does anyone honestly think that Jeremy Corbyn would have won an election if it hadn't been for the referendum? If it hadn't been for the victory of the SNP at the general election? If it hadn't been for the example set here in Scotland that an anti-austerity, anti-Trident party could win a mandate? That's what happened. We showed. I can remember speaking at countless meetings. I had the pleasure of speaking at 121 meetings during the referendum campaign. And I remember taking up this question all the time. Were we anti-English? And I said, no, we're no anti-English. Not at all. Most of the working class of England will have the same attitude to independence as Billy Bragg described to me at a music festival up in the north of Scotland during the campaign, where Billy said, you know, I've got a Mr. and Mrs. Jones attitude to independence. I want to look out the garden wall and see the new furniture and think, hey, I'll have some of that. In other words, he wanted us to vote for our independence so that we would enshrine in our constitution that our health service was public and remains public, that we would introduce a living wage instead of a poverty wage, that we would tackle poverty head on. These are the things that people like Billy Bragg, socialists in England, were saying, if you's jocks do it, you're going to give us encouragement down here. Because let's face it, sure there's the England of the Bulldog and the UKIP and the BNP that is reactionary. But there's also the England of the gas workers' strike, of the Tall Puddle Matters. There's also the England of the Peterloo Massacre. There's also that rich, radical tradition that exists in England. And what we did in relation to the election campaign in May of this year is we set an example for people in and around the Labour Party that you don't have to put up with a Tory Mark II any longer. That you don't have to take the same reheated porridge that they've been taking since Blair stole the Labour Party from them. We have encouraged that process. Jeremy and I go back a long way. I remember speaking to Jeremy way back in 1989 when I was invited down to address the campaign group of MPs at Westminster to support the anti-poll tax campaign. We were asking for support for mass non-payment. And I've got to say, Jeremy was one of the supporters, along with Tony Benn and others. 9 times out of 10 I'll be in the same position as Jeremy Corbyn. I think that's a brilliant development politically. That's a development to the left, brothers and sisters. We now have somebody in a political position of authority in England who's arguing for much of the things that we've been arguing for. Public ownership, waging war and poverty and inequality, getting the rich, oh this is a radical idea, getting the rich to pay their bloody taxes, wouldn't that be great, eh? Getting your corporations like your Boots and your Googles and your Amazons to pay their taxes, getting patriots like News International going on at Jeremy Corbyn for no singing the bloody national anthem. Patriots, why don't you be patriotic and start paying taxes in Britain? Wouldn't that be good, Mr. News International? That is a process that we started. That is a process that's part of our ongoing campaign to bring politics back to the people. The only thing Jeremy and I will disagree on, and it's something we can argue about, and we will argue about, is he must change his position on independence. He must change his position. He must recognise that there is now a clear wall that will prevent the Scottish Labour Party ever recovering electorally, ever recovering its trust, unless it accepts the constitutional question, unless it accepts the need for an independent Scotland. And by the way, politically, as the Fergus Ewing position earlier this week shows, politically there is room for a Labour Party that is for independence and for the working class and for public ownership and for waging war and poverty. I'm told that the Labour Party conference in October in Scotland is going to adopt a anti-nuclear position. They're going to adopt an anti-Trident position. We bit late enough, but yeah, great, welcome to the table. I'm told that they're going to endorse the position on taking back assets that have been stolen. Great, because I can remember for 8 years being in that Scottish Parliament, calling for public ownership, calling for a return of assets stolen, and be laughed at and scoffed by the Labour benches. So if they want to change their position, brilliant. But if they want to recover electorally, they're going to have to embrace independence. They're going to have to go back to the roots of the Keir Hardys, the John McLeans of the world, and recognise that the majority of the working class of Scotland now are for independence, and they see it as a democratic demand that is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Brothers and sisters, I'll finish my wee remarks and then we can invite questions. I hope it's not been too wide-ranging in relation to some of the comments I've made, but I'll finish by asking you, each and every one of you, to make that wee special effort to get yourself through to the West Coast, to Freedom Square on Saturday. To be there with your t-shirts, your flags, to wear your t-shirts with pride, to wave your flags with vision and hope in your hearts, in order to encourage that new generation, particularly the youth of Scotland, that we're not going to abandon the dream. Not at all. We are going to build on the dream. We're going to build, and we are absolutely determined in our lifetimes, we will deliver a new, a better, a fairer, a non-nuclear independent Scotland. Thanks very much.